Hello, and welcome back to Over the Next Till Fitness podcast. I'm Carla Coffey, your coach and host for today's program. I do want to thank everybody who has been subscribing and sharing the podcast. I really appreciate that. You can actually see this podcast on YouTube if that interests you. Nothing fancy. Today I'm just wearing a black sweatshirt. So if you're just listening, you're not missing out on anything. Uh, I do want to thank all of you who actually go and rate the program 5 stars. Appreciate that. It really helps push me up the ranks. I really do appreciate that. Also, one thing I do forget is to promote the business every once in a while. Coffeecrewcoaching.com is where you can find a coach. But also, I wanted to give thanks to Jana and Cheryl and Deb and Lisa and Ron and Joe. They all went to buy me a coffee because there's a link in my show notes, and they bought me coffee. Thank you so much. So I was so shocked. They finally sent me this email and said, "Hey, you got coffee." And some of you, it was several months ago, and they're just now getting, I don't know how often they send those emails out, but I don't go check that site until they do. And I had all this coffee money waiting. So thanks. I have a coffee. So I really appreciate that. So if you want to support the show and buy me coffee, I am happy to accept that. You can do that as a one-time thing. You can do it like do a subscription, I guess, and it'll take money and buy me coffee more often. So hey, whatever you're up for, that's great. If nothing at all, and just give me 5 stars, and I'll take that too. That's totally great. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram, which I'm really terrible at both of those places. And I apologize for that. I have like 500 followers and nobody ever comments on my stuff. So it's kind of, you get kind of lackadaisical about it. But yeah, so you can follow me in all those places. So today I'm going to be talking to Lisa Pozzoni. We had a lot of fun talking on this podcast about her running, about her coaching business as well. And you'll find links for all of the things that she does at the bottom of the show notes. So listen in, enjoy, and don't forget to share the podcast. Hey, Lisa, thanks for coming on the show. It's great to have you here.
Hi, thank you so much, Carla, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, same. I'm excited to have you. So let's start out with the hardest question of all. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, right. So tell us when your fitness journey started and how it got started, like with what activities or whatever.
That's such a great question. It is a hard question because
It
there's so
is.
much, but I'm going to go as an adult because I feel like I was never the athletic kid in school. I was never the track star. And so I started really getting into working out when I needed to lose weight, which, it was in my maybe mid 30s, early 30s, maybe mid 20s. I can't remember exactly, but I worked at Chase. I was in leadership. And so I was pretty stressed out with work. I'd gained weight and I just decided to start working out with a personal trainer because I always feel like getting the professional is the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she taught me, some nutrition stuff and I started, weightlifting and started seeing the results. And that's when I started just getting into that. And then walking, I've always loved walking and hiking. And then I swore I would never be a runner because running is stupid until I actually, I became a personal trainer myself. And then I went to a fitness fest to get credits for my fitness training. And there was this running camp, session to get, CUs. And I was like, oh, let me go check this out. And then I kind of just started dabbling into the running and as I always tell people, when you start, potentially be careful because it can become an addiction. And that's, I get long story short, here we are now. I still do personal training with my group, but I'm a walking and running coach. And I think running is one of the best things out there. So I try to convince anybody I can to do it.
Yeah. Mine kind of is the opposite way. I'm a walking running coach that has turned into a personal trainer, right? So
Oh, that's so funny.
that's my first love. but I also do personal training. So
Yeah, yeah.
great
Well, and
training.
honestly, yes, like strength training is not my favorite now. I prefer, but I'm also injured, which is a whole other story. Maybe we'll talk about it, maybe we won't. And it's I should have done a little more strength training in certain areas. I think that would have kept this from happening. But
Yeah. And
anyway.
sometimes, it's as we get older, we get injured a little bit more if we're not careful. So,
Yep, 100%.
so now, do you fall into the same struggle as most of us when you start running with a pack or even walking with a pack and they say, hey, we should do this? Somebody has this brilliant idea and then we're all on board and then it's like the gateway drug.
100%. Yes, that is exactly what happened. And I actually, my nickname with my ladies is or Coach Kool-Aid, because we say I kind of get people to drink the Kool-Aid. But that's kind of how it started for me. Like I
Yeah.
just, I swore I would never run. I swore I would never trail run. I swore I would never night run. Swore I would never become an ultra runner. And, I've done all of those. And yes, like, somebody will bring it up like, oh, we should go do this stage race in Moab, which, the whole Trans Rockies race is something that exactly happened. One of my friends said, if we go volunteer for the 6 days, we can run the event. And I'm like, I'm in.
Yes, and we're all drinking the Kool-Aid, let's be
Right?
honest.
Yes, 100%. And there could be way worse things that we could be doing, right?
Right, right. So tell us about what races you've done, what your favorite distance is, things like that.
Okay, very good question. Because, I think as we age and we discover new things, I'm all about trying out new things. I think that changes, right? I started road running, which I think most people probably start there. And, it's okay now. Like once I started trail running, I just love to be out in nature. And I live in Tempe, Arizona, where our main race company is Our Viper Running. And so they put on races like Javelina 100 across the year, some very famous races. I've actually done probably 120 of their races,
Wow.
because I do them to keep maintenance, right? Like if I have an ultra, I'll do 2 or 3 of their races for long runs. So to me, a race is not really a race. It's just an event that I'm attending. And, I think a lot of us think of it that way. So that's one of my favorite race companies because they really take care of their runners. And then Trans Rockies is the other one that I just talked about. And they're, my first learning about them. Well, I remember seeing this race in the Rockies, and it looked beautiful, but again, a little out of my element. And then we went and volunteered for 6 days. It used to be a 6-day stage race. It was like 120 miles over 6 days with like over 20,000 feet of elevation, right? So hard, but gorgeous. Volunteered and then ran it. I was supposed to run it in 2020. It was COVID, ran it the next year. And they're also so I love race companies that take care of their back of the packers, right? So they actually have a job that I have now that's called Dawn Patrol. And I just did this in Moab that we start not on every stage, but we start an hour before the race. So they give a group of us an hour time on the course to make sure we can finish it by the cutoff. So I just think any race company that allows you those cutoffs and makes space for slower runners, that's why I always like to talk about them. But they have a race in Moab. I just did a 3-day stage race. They just started one in Big Bear, California, that's coming up in June. I'm supposed to be there. I don't know. So it depends on my injury right now.
Yeah.
And then Trans Rockies became a 3-day, which is in July.
Okay, so tell us what that means that you started an hour early. So for those 6 days, each day you start an hour. Or tell us, like, break it down for those of us who don't
Yeah,
know what that means.
yeah, 100%. So yeah, it is very strange, but not strange, but I guess it's a good thing, right? So I don't know if you know Myrna Valerio,
Mm-mm.
the Myrnavator. So she's a bigger Black girl who a while ago started this blog called Fat Black Girl Running, something like that, right? And she really, I think, was one of the pioneers in the space that was talking about Who cares what you look like? That type of thing. You can be a runner. You can do whatever you want. So she went to Trans Rockies to do this race, and she just couldn't finish it within the time frame. I think it's a 9-hour cutoff every day, or each day might be slightly different, but and again, you're in elevation. So they generally, it's about an hour. So there's nobody else on course, maybe ahead in the aid station. So I am the representative of the race who keeps them safe for that hour. So we start ahead of time. And then let's say we start at 7, the race starts at 8, and then the race will start. They'll catch up to us and pass us. So these are usually point to point. So you're going from one stage to another stage. And then once the race catches up to us, I can stop at the aid station and my job is done, or I can keep going. Everybody does their own thing from that point. And then the sweepers, and for people who aren't aware of sweepers, marathons, there's usually people at the back making sure that you stay within the cutoff limits. So then they take over at that point. But it's probably one of the few places where I've seen this amazing synergy between front and back of the pack, because it happens over 6 days. So you see the same people. And then, by day 3, the front of the pack is, running by us, and we're like, woohoo, we're cheering them on, and then they're coming back and they're like, go Dawn Patrol. So it's just really cool to have that respect from both sides, because I'm all in awe of the fast people, right? They train for that. But I'm also like, wow, it takes them, half the amount of time for me to do the same distance, even less. But they're looking at the ground, hurrying up to get to the finish line. I'm all like taking pictures and having a good time. So it's just a fun place where you get to see that synergy, because we're not racing again. We're just attending the event.
Right. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is. It's very cool.
Wow. I've never heard of that. So thanks for explaining that to us.
Yeah,
So is
yeah.
that something? Now, how did you find out about that and get that job?
So interesting. The first year I was there, Myrna was there and she was leading Dawn Patrol. So she was leading it at the time. That was 2019. And I was volunteering at the finish line, which is, I always love being at the finish line, or the cater, the aid station at the finish line. It's fun because you get to see everybody. And then COVID happened the next year. And then Myrna was injured. So when I ran in 2021, there was a guy who was running it, like whoever must have been a volunteer that they had do it. And then the following year, I was like, okay, I volunteered and I ran it. And their community is another big thing I'm very passionate. They have an amazing community. Like, people volunteer and run. You see, it's like my Trans Rockies family is what I call them. And then I was like, God, I kind of want to do it again, but I don't know if I want to do the aid station. I was trying to figure out. And my friend, Lori, who has done Dawn Patrol with me, said, back of the Packers are your people. Why don't you email Huda? Huda is the race director, and ask him if you could take the job, if, Myrna's not doing it. And I emailed him, and the guy who had done it before, Ben, had literally just emailed him to say his wife was pregnant and he couldn't do it that coming year. So it was like, I believe in the universe sometimes. And so every time, it's been since 2022. And again, I go to the same place every year. And I keep thinking I want to go to new places, but I get to go see my family. And, now they changed it to 3 days. So I'm like, and I don't want to give up this job, because it's literally the perfect job.
Yeah.
And, I love to turn people, like, again, like, people start there and they're like, they're not sure, can I do it? And the race company, like, if you miss a day because maybe, you need to take a day off or whatever, you can go back the next day. Like, again, you're not competing at that point. So you still get a buckle at the end of the 6 days. I think we need to get you there.
You think?
Maybe.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, you do ultras. So, it's just an ultra over a longer period of time.
Yeah. Wow.
On day, now the shorter one, day 1 is Hope Pass. So Hope Pass is part of the Leadville course. It's
Oh,
beautiful. It's like you get
okay.
up to like 13,000 feet. It's so pretty. If it's
Oh,
beautiful weather, right?
yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So, what
Hmm.
would you say over all the years has been your favorite race?
Oh my God. That's up there. I probably would have to say, probably my favorite race might be the Canyon de Chelly 50K. Canyon de Chelly is this beautiful area in northern Arizona. I'm very attracted to the Red Rock thing. Like, I love Sedona, Moab. I've done Monument Valley is another gorgeous one. Antelope Canyon 50 miler was my first 50 miler. That whole area for us, the Four Corner area. And that one, it was a wait list, and it took me 2 or 3 years. Like I'd put my name in and it just, it never happened. And they have like a whole part of the race is like a Native American tradition. The race director is Native. His dad is Native. His mom is, I think, German. So they do like ceremony the night before the morning. So it's kind of just a great, and you get to go in the canyon to Shea Canyon. And the only way you can get in there is if you're on a tour guide. You have to be guided by a tour or you're doing this race. So it was kind of part of that just privilege. And literally the guy, in February, the race is in October. He gets on a Facebook Live, the race director, and he has a mutton pot and he's pulling names out. Like it literally, he takes out, I can't remember, 100, 200 names, however many it is. And I remember when my name got pulled, I was like, oh my God. So it was just, to finally have that come to fruition. And it's just beautiful territory and the weather was great. It's pretty sandy. So that was the downside,
Yeah.
but just a gorgeous race. I love being out in nature. It's so fun.
That sounds so exciting too, to watch your name be announced, right? So
Yes, yes.
instead of getting an email that says, "Hey, you're in."
Exactly. And the cool thing was, things are a little lagged online, right? So I hadn't actually heard it yet, but I could see the feed and I had friends who were also listening, trying to get in, and I saw my name being posted, but I hadn't heard it yet. And then, maybe seconds later, I was like, oh my God, I'm in.
So
So
great.
I'd love to do it again, but I also, knowing that it's limited for people, I figured I'll give it some years and let other people, but I'd probably do that one again just because it was just very special for me. And my friend in high school, who we're not as close anymore, but she was my best friend in high school, is Native. And so she came with my sister and we kind of did a little tour. We went to go see, her childhood hometown. So it was just a cool experience.
Yeah, for sure. So the night, when you do the dawn patrol or the day mornings or whatever, and you do every day, do you do the full distance typically, or do you stop after that hour?
That's
And
a great question.
what is the full distance?
So it depends on the day. So it was 6 days. So I'll talk about 3 days now, just because I kind of have it fresher in my head and 3 days is easier. So now it's going to be 3 days. The first day is Hope Pass. So I don't want to say only. I never like to put the word only in front of mileage, right? Because we know. So it's 13 to 14 miles. They've got a half pint and a full pint actually this time. So one is longer, one is shorter. So you're doing one or the other. And I think their longest is day 2, which is like 26 miles. And then day 3 is again 14-ish, and it's another steep day. So 1 and 3 are very steep, and then 2 is long. So it's a different way to do mileage without doing an ultra, right? Like you've done 100 miles, and that's, you go into the night. This is tiring in a different way, and it's camping. So this year you're in the same location. They just changed it, but with the 6 day, you would move camp like 3 or 4 times.
Oh,
So not only are you doing the mileage, but then you get in and then there's a hotel package, right? But
okay.
that costs some money and it's not in my budget. And again, as a volunteer, I like to be on site. And so they have you get up and then you have to pack your bag and bring your luggage to the luggage truck. And then they take the tents down and then you run to the next place and then you got to take your bag out again. I mean, the whole experience is exhausting, but again, you just feel amazing when you get done. It's like, again, it's like an ultra, it's just spread out. So I feel for some people, it's a nice way to do longer distances and, getting to see more territory. That's kind of always my mission, is like, I want to see all the things.
Sure. And as not being a mountain runner, to be able to do part of Leadville would be so amazing,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
what am I ever going to do a Leadville, but to do it as a piece, then maybe.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. Like to me, I feel like it's such a great and yeah, now again, I should have pulled it up and I don't want to take the time, but anybody could pull up the Trans Rockies. It's a half pint and a full pint. So you do one, you pick one, and they've even let people change it up between. Again, if you're not competing, for to be on the podium, then they'll be like, oh, you want to drop to the half pint on the second day, drop to the half pint. They're usually very flexible. Again, it's just a great, they call it summer camp for big kids is what their tagline is.
Nice. I
So,
love that.
yeah.
We need that too.
Right. 100%. Exactly.
Yeah. So what is your favorite distance? Did
Oh
you
yeah,
tell
no,
me?
we did not say
Okay.
that. We did
Okay.
not say that. Interesting. So I had Cocodona 250 on my bucket list at one point. So Cocodona is here, right? But so my longest distance, I've done 100 miler. It was at across the year, so it was going around, in a mile loop. I definitely would like to do. I know I would like to do 100 on trail, possibly Sedona Canyons, which is part of Cocodona, right? I don't know that a 250 might. I'm not really sure. The 50K when it comes to ultras, the 50K, I'd say a half marathon ish for just normal, right? Like I could pop in when I'm not injured and do a half a marathon, 25K. It's just part of my training, would not be a big deal. But the 50K ultra wise, I think is my favorite distance, just because training takes a while for the longer you go. And, that's kind of like a nice range, I feel, for myself. So I guess if I have to say 50K is probably my favorite.
Okay. So tell us about that race across the years. It's mile loops. I've
Yeah,
heard of
yeah,
it.
yeah. You've heard of it. Yeah. So again, it's another Aravaipa race, and so I say it's amazing because people are there doing amazing things, right? So it's actually up to 6 days.
Okay.
So it's a 6 day race. It goes, I want to say it's December 28th through January 3rd or whatever, that 6 days. So across the years, because it's like, into the year.
Okay. Thank you.
And you start out with, I think 6 hours is the shortest. You buy time basically, right? So you could buy 6 hours, you could buy 12, you could buy 24, 48, the 6 days. And there's people, so you have really competitive people that come from around the world because they're trying to break their own, like they're trying to break records. And you'll see them going around there. They've got crew there that are handing them, like people are breaking records. Then you have, again, this is another place where you kind of have this cool synergy. Then you have the people who are like, there was a guy there 2 years ago, 100, he was like he's 90 years old, I think. And he did all 6 days. He did 100 miles over 6 days. So every day, and you can have your RV there, you could get a hotel, you can camp out. They kind of put it in an area. So and again, it's kind of social because you're around people. The Running University is my company, and we've been volunteering during the midnight shift. So we're there on New Year's Eve, which is so
Oh,
fun,
yeah.
because it's like, what else am I going to do on New Year's? I'd be
Right.
sleeping, frankly.
Sleeping. Yes. Yes.
Right? I'd be sleeping.
Who
And
stays
it's
up
like,
till midnight otherwise?
right? Unless you're running
Unless
or
you're running.
volunteering, right? So I started volunteering one year, and it just became part of something that we do. So my boyfriend and I volunteer. Part of my runners come, and we usually pick up the whole 24-hour shift from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, or we'll start at 4. They do a toast, but it's so cool because again, you can just come and choose. So when I did my 100, I just didn't want to be attached. They also will have like a marathon distance, I think a 50K. You could also buy the distances, but I decided 48 hours felt like, plenty of time to do 100, right? So I did, the first stint was 63 miles because my longest was 100K. So I did 63 miles. I went and napped, slept for a good 4 hours, and then I went back and then I finished. But yeah, it's basically the course changed since I did it, but it's very similar. But it's basically a little over a mile, and you go around in
And
circles,
around and
around,
around and
around,
around.
which, right? Which is, I think I always tell my runners, you've got to try all the things because you don't know. Like I have one of my ladies tried it and those became her favorite, right? Because again, it's also super safe. You're not out on the trail doing
Right.
100 miles. You've got an aid station literally every mile. I mean, you could eat more than you ever need to, and then they have little fun stuff. They'll have like, at whatever time they'll bring pizza in on New Year's, and again, in itself, another little community, I would say.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of these looped events. Like if you Google looped or timed events, a lot of these ultra companies or trail companies have these, which again, I think is such a great way for anybody who's, maybe doesn't want to go out and do, again, 50 miles out on a trail because it's a little scary and,
Hmm.
you know, buy the time and you just pay for time and you just do your thing, walk, run, skip, whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's amazing.
that's so interesting that you say that because my biggest thing with running um, the hundreds that I've run is I want someone there in the night. I don't want to be in the woods by myself at night, And my
Hmm.
first one was a road race. Again, I didn't even want to be in the middle of wherever on the road in the middle of the night by myself. So having just a mile, that I could deal with that. That would comfort me. I wouldn't need someone to be there. And then and having um the aid station every mile is nice too. So you got to carry a bunch of crap, you know?
Exactly, 100%. You literally don't have to carry anything if you don't want to. They even have a table where if you have your water bottle, you can put your
Hmm.
water bottle on a table and just grab
Hmm.
it when you need it. Yeah, 100%. I agree. And even when I have people that do go out and do this, I always recommend people have a pacer, at when you're going out in the middle because it just helps you kind of with all the things.
Sure.
But yeah, yeah, it's definitely another plus where you don't have to have somebody.
I've done some of the mainly marathons, and there's our little out and backs instead of loops typically.
Yes,
And
yeah.
the first time I did one, because I really needed the state, and I'm like, well, if I do this, it's not a far drive. I can just go do it, come home, no big deal. And I thought, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do with these loops. And, I loved it. It goes by so fast. You've got constant people, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
everybody's so many different paces. And I'm like,
Yep.
this is fantastic.
Right.
You know,
Yes. Yeah.
when I qualified for Boston, we were on, I think it was a 6 mile course through this park, and it was loops, right? So you had to run like 4 loops. It was 6 point something. And because of the way it curved and up and down some little hills, not really hills, but it was in a park,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't realize that you were doing loops because
Yeah.
every time you passed the aid station, there'd be different volunteers. So it was totally different people moving in and out and whatever. So, it's not that bad. When they say, oh,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
mile loop, it's not that bad. It's really
It's
not.
really not. I mean, again, I almost feel as much as being out on they're just two different experiences, right? But going around, it's so easy. You could stop at any point and just walk away, right? Like
Sure.
that's way easier to do than if you're in the middle of a trail in the middle of nowhere. You can't just stop and have
Yeah.
a helicopter come pick you up, right? So
Right.
mentally, it's harder if you're really trying to. And yeah, I've done a mile. I've heard of those out and backs. And also, I think the shortest loop I've ever done is a quarter mile. So our Revipa also here again, they have a couple races where it's called Nardini Manor, and it's an old manor out on the west side of town. And it's this quarter mile loop. And again, the slower people stay to the right because the fast people are going around trying to, break records or whatever. But I always say, just try it. Like if whoever's listening, if you've never heard of these, I'm sure every state has got to have one. I feel like they've become popular. And again, I think for older people as well, it's just another safe way to get mileage and it's social.
For
Have
sure.
fun.
Yeah, you're seeing all these same people. Even if they're faster than you, they're going to pass you. And if you're
Exactly.
faster than them, you're going to pass them again. So yeah, so it's really nice.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
if you have, like, for instance, in one of my hundreds, my lights quit. My pacer still had theirs, but now we're sharing a light. It just died, and I didn't like. You kind of lose track of time and miles when you're in the woods and it's dark. So now I
Yeah,
have my phone. Now, if I was on a one loop course, guess what? In less than a mile, I'm going to pick up
right.
other lights. I've got spare lights. I sadly planned wrong. I didn't have them with me.
Yeah,
But in a loop, you're coming right back. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
It,
agree. Yep. Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
So let's talk about your injury since you mentioned it. What have
Okay.
you got going on?
Well, interesting. So it's very ironic, of course. I teach chi walking and chi running. I don't know if you've ever heard of
I
them, but they're,
have.
yeah, okay. So it's all about learning to move in a way that, I'm not going to say I can guarantee people getting, it's not injury free, but it makes it easier on your body because you're doing less impact. And I've been teaching 2010 is so I got certified or I learned chi running when I started running. So it was a blessing for me because since 2010, this is the third time I've ever been out of commission on an injury. So I attribute, again, I do strength training, I do the other things, but I do attribute my injury, the lack of injuries a lot to having learned. And same thing with the walking. Like I love chi walking. It's a little different than regular walking and I use it a lot in my ultras. So, again, is one of these things, the last couple injuries were, I guess I'm going to say overuse because of course my body mechanics, I had an assessment and my hips are a little weak, the usual glute med,
Yeah.
right? And
Always.
so it's manifesting now as Achilles tendonitis, however, in my left foot. And I had an assessment and, it looks like I'm favoring one side, but the doctor was like, well, when's the last time you took a break from running? And I was like, I'm not sure. So I'm not a stats person, right? So I went back to my Garmin and I just checked 2025. I looked at every week. Like 75% of 2025 weeks were over 20 miles. The rest of the 25 were between 14 and 20. So I was like, and again, I do this for a living. I do track on Thursdays. I'm just out. This is what I do. And I'm never running fast or hard. So I take it for granted, but apparently I should take some rest days. I mean, I take rest days, but I should take some time off
Right.
as well as maybe do more recover. Like I do stretch and stuff, but get a massage once, like treat myself. I don't do a lot of that. So, and again, I'm also older now. I just turned 55 last month. So these are all, I find these things as much as it sucks, but they're always learning lessons, right? Like it's reminding me that when I come back, that I need to focus more on certain things, and I, basically need to just learn from that.
Yeah.
So, that's where I'm at.
Well, that's not so bad. At least it is something you can come back from.
100%. Yes, very much. And that's, I think, the struggle as we get older too. Like I have a couple ladies in my group that, for whatever reason now they just can't run anymore, right? But like I'm like, so we're making walking cool again, right? Like as an ultra runner especially, like you walk and it's part of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, like even in Moab, I had one of my ladies, she's 69 years old. That was her first stage race and she hiked the whole thing. She's a
Nice.
fast hiker, but you have time there to get it done. So, you don't have to be running.
Yeah. Yeah. I do run walk now. Um, and that has really saved me from having too many injuries. I'm just
Yeah.
coming off one too, but it's we have to take time for ourselves, but and we have to strength train. And as we all know, and we all hate to hear it, you got to strength train. As
Yep.
much as we love running, you gotta
Yes, you got to
you know
put that time in again, especially as we age. Yeah, I actually listened to your Galloway podcast
Oh, cool.
because, again, same thing. I have a YouTube video where I actually do the, chi running or Galloway, like if you're 50 plus, which one's better? And, to spoil the ending, I basically say they both go great together because the chi is really about technique. The walk run intervals is more about just alternating, recovering, that type of thing. So they're great to combine. I mean, it's always funny when people don't know any better and they're like, "Oh, do you have to run the whole time?"
Yeah.
I
No.
mean, I literally don't remember last time I ran a 5K without stopping, just because again, I don't care. I
Yeah.
run when I feel like walking, I walk, and then I run again. Like I'm just out there to enjoy it.
Yeah. So I hired a coach for
Mm.
my Ironman. I've hired
Oh,
several actually, one for swimming and one for
awesome.
biking. But then
Mm.
I kept the biking coach because I wanted to do my first 100 miler. And I said, will you coach me for that as well? Because it was a distance I had never done, right?
Yeah.
And I want. I want to do the best I can. And he said, okay. He said, you're going to have to walk, right? And I went, what are you talking about? Because at that point I hadn't done even like Jeff Galloway, right? I was just every marathon I had to run, right? I had to
Yeah.
run them all.
Hmm.
And he said, well, you can't run the whole way. And I went, oh, well, maybe I don't. He said, just hear me out, right? And so he explained and he gave me a ratio that he thought would be good because it was a road 100 miler.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the first time I started walking. And then after that, when I was still doing some marathons, I saw people walking in the marathon and I would hear this beep and I'm like, what are you doing? And he
Yep.
said, I'm doing this thing called the Galloway method. And I'm like, so then of course that piqued my interest since I was walking for that 100 miler. So then I was like, I need to try this. And then that's when I got a hold of Jeff and I asked him to come on the podcast.
Yeah.
And
How
so yeah,
cool.
yeah, so it was. Oh, he's such a wonderful man. But yeah,
Yeah.
so for those people who are like, oh, if you walk, it's not right. Well, no, trust me, when you get older, you need to keep that if you want to keep running. I'm
100%.
sorry.
That's exactly my biggest thing is sustainability. Like I always say,
Hmm.
if I drop dead on a trail at 100 years old, happy camper,
Amen.
right?
That's where I
Right?
want to go down
It's
to.
like,
Yes.
exactly, right? It's like, I don't care how fast I'm going. I'm never going to win the race. I'm not trying to qualify for the Olympics. Like,
Right.
and what's the cutoff? Can I make the cutoff? Okay, then we
Yeah.
train, right?
Yeah.
Like, like, yeah, like, and again, all good because I always say I try people. There are people who run because they run for their pace or they run, and that's fine. Good for
Hmm.
you. You go do that. That's not and I want to do this forever. Like I get so much joy. I mean, of course, it's hard, all the things, but it's my social life too, right? Like, if you think about it now, I mean, again, that old lady's Facebook group, that's very
Yeah.
social. I mean, walking and running is social. So like, again, you go with a bunch of people, the miles fly by, it's like you're solving all the world problems, or maybe you're not, because who wants to go there too, right?
Yeah.
But it's just, have you heard of the blue zones? The
Maybe.
Yeah, so the blue zones is there's I can't remember how many cities, areas in the world where it's the highest amount of centenarians, like 100-year-old plus, right? And this guy Dan, I can't remember his name, sorry. He started this. There's a documentary, so it's on Netflix. And now cities are trying to become blue zone cities, and they found these 6, 7, 8 traits. I can't again. I'm quickly um, getting it back in the recesses of my brain. But, movement, of course, that basically like, what do these people all have in common? And a lot of them move, but it's natural movement. Like they're not going to CrossFit. Like they garden, they live in places where you got to walk up the hill to go get your food and come back down. And socializing is like one of the biggest factors now. There's like these studies that keep confirming how important, like you live longer by hanging out with people.
Wow.
So, right, walking, running, socializing. I mean, how much better could it get, really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting that you say that. So today is being Saturday. I had my long run, and
Mm,
there was a group of five of us today. Our sixth girl wasn't able to make it. There were five of us, and that was it. We weren't solving really the world's problems, but we kind of rotate. Like these two will be up here talking, and then we're trying to all talk together, right? But because of the dynamic of the pace and whatever, you're kind of
hmm.
rotating the people around, and it's great because who's got time to just go sit and have coffee, which is a wonderful thing. But
Yes.
when you're running and you're just chatting and the subjects are bopping here and there,
Yep.
and yeah, it is definitely the
Yeah, I
best thing
love it.
ever. We
Yeah,
did a new
anytime. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just say we did a new trail today,
Oh,
and
fun.
yeah, it was really nice to have a new. The one girl has run it a couple of times before, biked it with her kids, but for those of us that had never been there, it was really nice to have a new, trail. Last week we were on our normal one, and we saw a coyote, we saw deer. We usually
Wow.
see turkeys, but we're in the city. We're in the city of Madison, basically, just a little
Okay.
just outside the city. But so, it's just such a great time to get with people, and maybe we're creating our own blue space over here. So that's good.
Exactly. 100%. Yes, I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, what else have you done that I haven't asked that you would like us to know about you?
That's actually a really good question. I think we probably, I know I'm going down. It's funny because I'm looking at this today is, when you go into marketing, you've got all these days that, it's like National Tell a Story Day, right? And I have memories from which I need to repost on my social media, but I talk about my whole running story. But I would say that's probably, of course, later I'm going to be like, how come I didn't bring up? No, I mean, I feel like, again, the thing that I'm in the back of the pack, I love to teach. To me, at the end of the day, it's just about, socializing, getting healthy. I feel, learning technique is a big thing. When I train my group, because I feel like it does minimize, again, you're going to get injuries can happen.
Sure.
So, I just feel like the biggest message I would just say to anybody, and I assume you have more people who are currently runners and walkers that listen to your podcast, but if anybody's hesitating, find your tribe, as I say, find your people, find some people. And, it's just such a great sport. And I think maybe my biggest thing is like running has such a bad reputation
Yeah.
and people don't understand it. Like they just hear what people say and it's like, oh, it's bad for you. No, if you learn how to run properly and if you do your strength training, I mean, sure, you can get injured, but it's actually really good for you.
Right.
Right. So I just feel like it has such a bad reputation. And, my goal is to change it. And especially, for women over 50, like those are that's my target audience, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. But I love to convince people or, like teach people how to, okay, you've been a road runner. Hi, let's try some trails.
Yeah.
So I think it's just my jam. I feel very blessed that I get to do this, as
Sure.
part of my, and just help women find, I felt like find your most adventurous lives yet, right? Because again, just like you said, you meet people before you know it, you're in Moab doing a stage race. Like what happened to me? Like, I'm 69 years old, again, thinking about Sue,
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like how amazing is that? Right. So
Yeah.
I think, It's just a great sport that deserves more of this. So thank you for letting me share and
Oh,
chat.
absolutely. Sure. Do you have anything on your bucket list that you're going to do later after your injury, or
Good.
what's your like timeline too for that when you're going to run again?
Yeah, well, hopefully I can do the Trans Rockies Dawn Patrol in July. So, again,
Okay, so
what I
that's
start.
first.
That is first, yes. Assuming, and again, so I don't think I answered the question, but like depending on how much training I can do, if I can't get all the training in, I'll just do the Dawn Patrol. I'll stop at the aid station and then I'll get, because I've seen it. I've done all the trails. Like Moab, I couldn't do any of it. So I had people cover for me and I just stayed and cheered at the finish line. So that's my priority. If I'm doing good, of course, I just, it's beautiful. So I would do it. And right now I've been working on my business and, stuff. So that's why I haven't been training as much for big stuff because, it takes time. So it's like, okay,
Sure.
business, running, but Sedona Canyons, I believe is going to be my next big thing on my list. And I don't know that it would even be 2027, maybe 2028. Again, trying to be realistic. That's the other thing I've learned is, again, knock on wood, but, not to rush into it. I think sometimes people start and they rush into it and they get injured that way too, right? It's like in their first year, they're doing a 5K, 10K, half and full. And that could work if you hire coaches and that people can help you. But I think too many people don't. And they think that coaches are for elite people,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like it's the opposite, right? Elite people need coaches for a whole other reason. But getting a coach who can steer you, we've been there. We know what works, what doesn't work. We've got the training, the experience, and to be able to help somebody navigate the beginning of running, because there is a lot of stuff to figure out. And the internet now, especially, is like, I mean, you can see a training plan for a half marathon, Google it and get 20 different versions, right?
Hmm.
So it's really having somebody, and I always say that to people, me, you, get a coach, like
Yeah.
they really will help you and help you navigate through the process and make it better.
And
Can't
as a
remember what the
coach,
question.
I have hired a coach,
100%. Yeah,
even
me
if it's
too.
just for a quick 25-minute call or whatever,
Yep.
because I touch base with my biking coach that I had, and the one that coached me for my first 100, because that was a road. I know road, right? But I still wanted to coach for that. So when I went to trail, my first trail, I said, "Hey, can I buy some time with you? I need to know. I'm not a trail runner, right? So what do I
Yeah.
do?" And so, you know, I have lots of answers, but I also know, like, my biggest thing for myself is I don't rest enough. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
things was great with him was he would pull me back. He said, "I'd rather have you take a rest day than, and so we need coaches for different reasons. It's not
100%.
for the plan. You're right. You can get a plan offline, but you
Yes.
need them. Anybody can write a plan. It's not that hard.
Right.
Do
Yeah.
10
Chat
miles,
GPT now. You could just put
right?
it in Chat GPT and it'll
Yeah.
tell you what to do.
Yeah, so
Right.
10 miles this weekend, 11 next weekend. Big whoop. That's not what it's other
Yes.
things. So yeah.
100%. Yeah. And I feel
Yeah.
it's great that we're talking about this too as coaches, right? Because it's like we're talking the talk. Same thing when I did my first 50, my nutrition was never an issue, but I felt like I probably could nail this down a little bit better. Same thing. I hired a nutritionist and she totally changed how I eat. And,
Hmm.
so it was like, and again, you learn, like I'm all into learning too, right? It's fun to learn new things. Like we don't know everything. And I always say, you don't know what you don't know. And people like, you just put one foot in front of the other. What could go wrong? A lot of things.
A lot of
A lot
things.
of things
Yeah.
can go wrong.
Yeah.
So, I say suck it up. I mean, again, there's coaches that do a lot of different things. Like even in my community, I have some women who have two coaches. I'm not a performance coach. I'll give you track workouts and I'll give you stuff, but that's not my technique is my jam. It's really more what I focus heavily more in my training and mindset stuff. Right. But if somebody came to me and said, I want to qualify for Boston, I'm like, I'm not your girl. Like, that's not me. You can talk to Carla.
And she would say, if you want it bad enough, you'll work harder.
Yeah.
that's
Right.
that's
Exactly.
what
I
my
mean,
coach
right.
said to me. When you want it bad enough, you'll get there. I'm like, I want it bad enough. But you know what? That's really what it was.
You know what? Honestly, it's funny because I say this all the time. I'm from Massachusetts, and it used to be on my bucket list to do Boston, right? And then I had somebody say, like, "Well, you totally could train for it and do it." I go, "I get it. I don't know that I ever want to run." Like to me, that doesn't. It starts sucking the fun out of it for me, right? Like if I have to start doing these hard workouts and be obsessed with all of it, I was like, I will raise money, which I know it's a lot of money. It's off my bucket list now, but you never know. Like, again, I would maybe do it, but raising money sounds way easier to me than actually training for Boston because I just don't like to run that hard. It's just not my jam. So 100%.
Right. So you did mention Cocodona 250.
Yep,
Is that
yep.
on your bucket list?
It was. It's not anymore. I'm going to stick with the Sedona Canyons, which is half of it, right? It's like the second half of it. And not, they had to change the course, but, it could come back, it's definitely not because I feel like I'm getting older. Just right now, I'm like, do I really want to be out there for 5 days? I love being out on the trail, so that could change. But I think just because I've taken a break from, when I did my 100 miler, that was 2021, and that's the longest. I've done 100K since then, but it's been mostly, I've done a ton of 50Ks.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be out there, but the 125 is going to be the first thing I think I go for bucket list wise.
We're going to talk about that offline because we might have to run that together.
Okay, I love that. I think that would be amazing.
And we definitely will put your website in the show notes as
Okay,
well.
cool.
So
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. So maybe
Yeah.
somebody wants some chi running that is not running.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and YouTube, my YouTube channel, I have a lot of
Yep,
videos on there too where you could actually go check them out as the Running University. But yeah,
sure.
100%. Yes, exactly, right? We do different things. I mean, that's the
Mm-hmm.
whole, and I actually love it when I can have these great conversations with other coaches because there's been other coaches where you kind of get, you don't get the same collaboration, right? It's like I do not feel like we're competition only. There's a million people out there. Like there's
Yeah,
no competition. Like,
right.
we're here for the same exact reason. And as long as, people are doing, getting healthier and doing their thing, that's
Absolutely.
all that matters.
Absolutely. All right. Any famous last words that we have not said to these people that you can think of?
Just the last thing I would say is just don't let your age hold you back, or your weight, wherever you are, it's never too late. I mean, I've seen people start, I always say you're at where, well, Danny Dreyer, the founder of Chi Running, says you're at where you're at. So I say start where you are. You're at where you're at and start where you are. You start baby steps. Like you could do anything you put your mind to. I know you know this too. I mean, who would have thought I would say I'd do 100 miler. Never in
Exactly.
my lifetime would somebody like 10 maybe 20 years ago say to me like you're going to do 100 miler. That's crazy. So if you find the right people to be around to support you, go for it. It's an amazing thing.
Absolutely. Well, wiser words were probably never said, but I've had a lot of people on the podcast, so who knows?
I'm sure.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Lisa. It's been so great getting to know you and all your excursions, and I'm really happy that you're here.
Same.
And hopefully,
Thank you
we'll
so
get you on
much.
again. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Yeah, we had a lot of fun, and we did talk about the race afterwards. And you may have noticed that there was some dog barking in the background. We have a new pup, and Cooper wanted to make sure that you heard his voice. So if you heard that in the background, he's a couple flights away up the stairs, but man, he was not happy with whatever's going on up there. So again, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to rate and share the program, and we'll see you next time.